All right, great. So now we're live technically. Really appreciate it, by the way. Thank you very much. I don't know if you saw, but I have been using the Willow Pump,
right?
And have had a lot of crazy feedback. First of all, like I think people are really surprised that this technology even exists. Can you tell us like how it was born and kind of like the ideas behind it and where it came from?
Yeah, fantastic. So thank you for having us. So Willow was really created in response to a lot of the real life issues that moms have breastfeeding and breast pumping. With traditional breast pumps, oftentimes moms need to take off their clothes, find an outlet, be plugged into the wall, have dangling baby bottles. And we really felt like we could develop something that was much better for moms. And we set out to create Willow as an all-in-one breast pump that literally fits right inside your bra, giving moms their mobility back, their hands back, letting you lead the life that you really want to lead.
How long has the Willow been available to the public now?
So we started selling Willow in January of 2018, so just a little over a year. And really exciting, we also just introduced our Generation 2 product that we're starting to ship right now in February, which is fantastic.
Okay. I know I missed the window on that, but I have a friend who is waiting for her 2.0, so she's excited.
Okay. That's great. That's great.
What kind of feedback have you received from women who use it?
It's been really heartwarming. The best part about Willow, from my perspective, is really the stories that you hear about women telling how it's changed their lives. You know, oftentimes women, not everybody's got a private room to pump or a place to go. And women talked about being forced into supply closets with computers all over or public restrooms. And so the best part about Willow and some of the feedback is how women have been able to sort of get on with their lives. They're not having to choose between breastfeeding their baby and pumping. They can really do both. So some of the stories are everyday stories of women saying, I have an older child. I used to have to go, be isolated in a room, and now I can play with my older child. We also hear stories from nurses, for example, who are super busy and don't necessarily have time to take a break, who say, I just put Willow in and I feel comfortable enough with it that I can go and work with my patients. And we even heard a story from one woman who said, with my first child, I had to stop pumping at about 9 months. I worked so hard to get there, but it was so hard to make the effort. And now with Willow, because I have mobility and my time back, I've been able to pump for my second child to 13 months. So it's just really heartwarming to see how Willow is really changing women's lives.
I was going to say, I know a lot of women who stop pumping or, stop breastfeeding after like their maternity leave just because it's so stressful trying to do that at work.
Exactly. We've actually heard that after going back to work, the idea of pumping and having to do that at work is the second biggest stress point of women going back to work. And what the data shows too is most women start out breastfeeding. About 81% of women start out breastfeeding, but at the 6-month mark, only about half of them still are. And like you said, a lot of it is you're going back to work, you don't have access to a private place, or there's pressure on you, colleagues are in meetings, things going on, you can't do it. We don't believe that women have to choose between being a mom and working. We want to give you the option to do both and make your life a lot easier at Willow.
Has anything surprised you in getting, off the ground a year ago, maybe about how women are using it? Or I don't know. Yeah, I mean, because I was thinking, sometimes I just use it to use one pump so I can hold my baby in the other, or I don't know. Have you heard any stories that not only are heartwarming, like you've mentioned, but just maybe surprised you?
I think what's really surprised me in a positive way is just the huge range of women that are using Willow and how they're using it. So an example would be, we had a woman who was a firefighter, who's in an all-male environment, who said, before I felt the pressure to not pump, and now because I have Willow, and even though I'm surrounded by men and my job is really pressure-filled, I can go ahead and do this. And the other thing that's been really surprising in a really good way too is just the different places where people pump. We had one woman tell us a story of how she went out to the movies with her husband on a date night, and she pumped during the movie because Willow was so quiet that you couldn't even tell in the movie theater. So to me, it's more surprising in the venues and places that people choose to pump. But at the same time, the goal was to enable women to go wherever they wanted to go with Willow.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, then I have to tell you one thing because, you know, obviously I'm in a newsroom and see if I can screen share this. Hold on. Let me see. Here we go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I said, I don't know if it's a first, but I actually pumped on air.
Wow.
Because we were in this storm coverage
Right.
and we were going wall to wall with, with snow coverage, and I could not actually get off the air. So, so I had to pump on air. I don't think anyone saw it because I had a jacket on, but my producers were like, "What is that noise? Is there something going on?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'm pumping." But like everyone thought it was cool. Like, no, I mean, I wasn't doing it for attention. I really needed to pump, and and it changed the game for me.
Exactly. And what's great about it is you didn't have to choose to not be the reporter that you want to be and not talk about something that was super urgent. You could sort of get on with it and do both. You know, and Willow also, what's great about it too is it's quiet enough that you can do a conference call. So I'm sure that, you know, people watching you on TV had no idea what was going on. And that's amazing, right? Because with traditional breast pumps, they're so loud. You know, women would tell us stories of how embarrassed they were to pump, even in a private room that colleagues would hear, and it really made them feel terrible. So it's incredible that you can pump anywhere like you did. That's great. You're a great role model for other people, Michelle. It's great.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm trying to figure it all out. You know, my baby's only 15 weeks old, so we're just trial and error. But that's been really helpful for me personally. Where do you see Willow headed? You know, I know I love Willow. I mean, that's just coming from me. But there's still you still have an accessibility issue, not issue, but you know, you still, I'm sure, want to get out to more people. And I know the insurance companies are not all on board with Willow yet.
Right. That's right. So, you know, a whole range of opportunities for Willow. So in the near term, maybe talking about that first and then addressing some of your questions. In the near term for Willow, we're introducing our Gen 2 product. You said you had used Gen 1. Gen 2 is faster and easier to use. And importantly, the science inside on Willow, it latches differently like a baby does. It provides a continuous latch. And so with Willow, you can move around and have complete mobility and not worry about leaking. And for a lot of breast pumps, one of the big concerns is, you know, you work so hard to get that liquid gold, and losing any of it is just really hard. So having leak-proof mobility is really great. And this is even faster and easier to use, which is terrific. The other thing about Willow that's really special is we're a mom-first company. You know, when you think about a lot of products in the mom and baby space, they have pictures of moms and babies, or they focus exclusively on the baby. And that's really important. But we want to care a lot about the mom. And, you know, with Willow, we developed it because you're putting it on your skin, on your breast. We really developed it with moms in mind. And so everything about Willow that we do is going to be mom first. So our Gen 2 product is the near term of what's coming out. The other thing in the back half of the year, we're going to be introducing some really exciting new products, including new flange sizes as well. We've had a lot of requests for that, but some other new innovations coming too. And then we've got a really fantastic pipeline coming for next year. We can't quite share that with you yet. We'd love to, as we get closer, give you some details on that to get Willow out to all moms.
Oh, okay. Ooh, I want to know. I want to know. What do you say to people who are like, I love the Willow, but I wish it were a little more affordable? I mean, to me, it's like, hey, if there's a splurge, and I mean this, you know, wholeheartedly, like if there's a splurge to make in your breastfeeding, it's the Willow. I've told a lot of my friends that. But you know, sometimes it's hard for people to justify spending, you know, $400 plus for a pump. So do you think that that's something that's on the minds of your company to work more with insurance companies, or is that something that you've been able to do, or to start that groundwork?
Sure, for sure, getting Willow out to all moms is a really high priority for us. And we have people dedicated full time to working on getting insurance coverage. But I have to say, it's maddeningly slow in working with the insurance companies and working with the employers. And it's not to be a criticism of them. You know, it takes time, but we have a commitment to getting there. You know, in the meantime, we've had a lot of moms tell us good stories of they talk to their companies and they can get out of network coverage for the full amount. So we encourage moms to talk to their companies. And also a lot of people have access to HSA, FSA funds. And so you can also use that to purchase both Willow and the bags. We also offer a financing program too, so that women can buy Willow at $43 a month, because we know it's really important to get this out to moms. We want to support every mom in her mobility and in her breastfeeding goals.
Oh, that's wonderful. I didn't realize that. So that's great. I'm trying to think of anything else. You know, I don't know if there's anything that that you want to add. I feel like we've touched on, you know, the product, what it does, where you're headed, what you'd like, you know.
The only other thing I would add about Willow, and it's something that we're really proud of too, is just making a difference in women's lives and women's health. Women are the big decision makers for a family about purchases, about healthcare, but oftentimes women put themselves last at, you know, making it a priority to take care of themselves. And at Willow, we really don't want moms to have to choose between being a mom, being working. We want to develop things that really put her front and center. And I think we're at the beginning of a bigger movement of support for women, full stop. And we're just really proud at Willow to support women and the things that they want to achieve. And Willow is an important contributor to being able to not have to make those choices and just dream as big as you can.
I love it. Thank you so much. Also, I know, are you based on the West Coast? Is that where you're based?
We're based in Mountain View in California.
That's what I thought. Okay. And then you know, I was working, I mean, this is on its own. Do you have any Seattle angles or Seattle ties? I don't know if that's like developers or if that's something. I was just trying to stretch and look for a Seattle angle.
We do have a little bit of a Seattle angle, which is one of our early employees. He's actually employee number 5 is from Seattle. His name is Matthew Comer, and he leads part of our firmware software development for Willow. And part of the reason that he joined, which is great, is that he and his wife had just had a baby. And so it's not only people working here who are moms, but dads as well, really understand the challenges of breastfeeding and breast pumping. And he joined for a really personal reason, because he was determined to make a difference for his wife and his baby. And of course, women everywhere. And what's really exciting is he just had his second child. And so, you know, he was able to, when he first joined, we didn't yet have Willow, but as part of the early team now with the second baby, his wife has been able to feed, I think she's a year strong or so or more with the second child. And it's just amazing that you can create something that affects your own family in that way. And Matthew is originally from Seattle and has strong ties back to the city.
Oh, that's great. So see, then I can pitch that to my producers even more.
And it's also good too, because I think we talk a lot about moms, and we are a mom first company, but I think what we've also seen is a lot of advocacy from dads. Like, I remember when we first introduced Willow to the world at CES, a lot of the people coming over were the dads, because they understand the challenges that their wives have and they want to help. And it's frustrating to not be able to do more. And so they all, you know, alerted their wives about Willow. They wanted to know when they could get one, because dads and the whole family is really supporting breastfeeding, which is great.
Oh, yeah, that is great. I know my husband is supportive, and I'm so happy and proud of him for that too. So I really appreciate your time. That's all I need, unless you want to add anything else.
I think that's fantastic. Thank you for having us, and it's been great to meet you. And I'm glad to hear you're a Willow mom. We count you. We have over 25,000 Willow moms strong right now, and you're one of our 25,000 and growing. So thank you for being a Willow user.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for creating a wonderful product. I'm going to stop the broadcast real quick.